A very good morning, class 11th. So, in our previous lecture, we talked about internal structure of heart. Today's lecture is a very understanding lecture. It is very important for you to understand that how does our heart work. Right now, we have just talked about the internal structure of heart, but today we will talk about conductive system, that how our heart is able to perform its function. We will see that types of circulation, right? So two topics I'm going to take today. First, I will talk about the circulation of blood through human heart. As you now understood completely that human heart, it shows complete double circulation. Double circulation means blood, our blood passes through heart how many times? Two times. And that kind of circulation, when blood passes through heart two times, it is known as double circulation. So this circulation, it means double circulation in human beings, it is divided into two parts. It is divided or explained in two parts actually, systemic and pulmonary. Now you will get more idea that why we are saying this. Systemic and pulmonary. See, systemic means that circulation of blood to and from body parts. Now I have said two words, that circulation in which blood goes to and from body parts. Now लेके कौन जाता है बॉडी पार्ट्स तक आपका blood? It is your left ventricle. Left ventricle pump blood through aorta. Aorta is carrying this blood and then sent to body parts, right? Now from body parts, from these body parts, who is carrying the blood? Because this is now deoxygenated blood. So from now body parts, vena cava is carrying the blood and it is pouring it into right atrium. So the circulation in which blood moves to and to body parts and from body parts, that type of circulation is known as systemic circulation. So which chambers are responsible here? Left ventricle and right atrium. This is called systemic circulation. Now let's come to pulmonary circulation. Flow of blood to and from lungs, because you now my students, they know that pulmonary word I use for lungs. It is used for lungs. So flow of blood lungs tak and lungs se leke jana, that is known as pulmonary circulation. Let's see. Now as you know, this is our lung, and from lungs, who is bringing oxygenated blood? Pulmonary vein. And who is receiving this blood? Left atrium. Now right ventricle is having deoxygenated blood, so from right ventricle through pulmonary artery, blood will move into now lungs. So which chambers are involved here? I will also mark it with red. So left atrium and right ventricle, they are involved in pulmonary circulation. So we have two types of circulation. As you there, I have made a flow chart also. From right ventricles, now deoxygenated blood through pulmonary artery, it moves to lungs, and from lungs oxygenated blood moves to left auricle. From left auricles or atrium, it goes to ventricle and then to body parts, and from body parts to right atrium. So as you can see, the upper part of circulation, it is which kind of circulation? It is pulmonary circulation. And this lower part, which includes your left ventricle and your right atrium, they are known as our systemic circulation. So both the diagrams, you can show it with the both the ways. You can draw this diagram in the exam also. You can show this flow chart also, which is feasible according to your time. You can draw that, right? So this is about the two circulation in our heart which takes place. One is systemic circulation and one is pulmonary circulation. Now we will talk about how does our heart work, how this contraction, relaxation, who is controlling them. So that is the conducting system of our heart. We said that heart is having muscles. So heart consists of special cardiac muscles. Cardiac word is we use for heart. So it consists of special cardiac muscles, and those are known as nodal tissue. It means there are group there are group of cells or specialized cells which together they are known as nodal tissue. It means conductive system of heart works through nodal tissues. Now there are two types of nodal tissues. We have two types of nodes, that is SA node and AV node. So first we will talk about SA node. S for sinoatrial node. Its name is sinoatrial node. It is also known as pacemaker. It is the area, it is that area in our heart from where impulse is generated, right? So it is basically, again, there are a few group of cells which help in generation of electrical impulses, because electrical impulses generate नहीं होंगी तो कहाँ से rhythmicity आएगी? Contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation, right? So that rhythmicity is controlled by our muscles, and those muscles are known as nodal tissue. And out of that main node we are talking about here, that is SA node. It is known as sinoatrial node. It is the area. Now I am just not talking about in the air, I'm just talking to you people, and let's show you first where is SA node. It is located on wall of right atrium. Again, see, it is on the wall. If we look at the structure of 3D, it is on the wall of right atrium. So on the wall of right atrium we have SA node. And what is the function of SA node? It is the first group of cells. It is that area where impulse is, electrical signal, you can say, impulse or electrical signal is generated, and then it goes to muscles of heart, and the moment it reach to the muscles of heart, then it start contraction and pumping the blood. Have you now recall here? Now it is very important for you to recall reflex action. How does reflex action work? When they get stimulus. But here now a new term for you, that this is the area which does not need any external stimulus to work. It generate impulses without any external stimulus. So this is the area, SA node is the area which has highest degree of autorhythmicity. अपने आप इसमें electrical impulses generate होती हैं. These group of cells, they get activated, they generate impulses, and then that is why they are auto excitable. They do not need any external stimulus to activate them. They show high degree of highest maximum number of autorhythmicity, means 70 to 75, or you can say 80 per minute beats per minute. Our heart in a minute it beats 72 beats per minute it produces, and that beat, that excitability, it arises from sinoatrial node. It is the least conductive tissue. It is only responsible for initiating as well as maintaining rhythmic activity of heart. Rhythmic activity means contraction, relaxation, contraction, relaxation. Contracted, because see, contractile activity hoga, only then there will be the pumping of blood. So that rhythmic activity is arises, or you can say initiate, and then throughout maintained by sinoatrial node. That is why it is known as pacemaker. तो आपकी हार्ट बीट को जो कंट्रोल करता है, जो आपकी पूरी एक्टिविटी ऑफ हार्ट को कंट्रोल कर रहा है, दैट इज SA node. And one more speciality it has, it can generate maximum number of impulses. It can generate maximum number of action potential by its own. It is the area, this is the area through which maximum number of action potential impulses can be generated. So it is the, what is this area? This is auto excitable. It does not need any external stimulus to get excited. And now where it is located? On the wall of right atrium. Stimulus, कितना टाइम लगता है इसको स्टिमुलस कंडक्ट करने में? Stimulus, impulse which is generated from this node, that is at the rate of 1 meter per second. It is the 1 meter per second. Okay, that is the time through which this impulse is generated. It is conducted through the SA node. Now AV node kya hai? There is another node that is called AV node. Now this SA node, it pass impulses to another tissue, another group of cells which is known as AV node. Right, it is known as AV node. As you can see where it is present, that is on the, basically first impulse reach to your SA node. First impulse is generated by SA node, and then it reach to AV node, and this is known as atrioventricular node because it is present between the atrium and ventricles. So it is known as atrioventricular node. Now it is time at which impulse from SA node reach to AV node, that is even less than very very less, that is 0.03 seconds. And then this impulse from AV node, impulse is sent to wall of ventricle so that proper contraction of and pumping of blood to the different tissues can be taken place. Now 1.5 to 4 meter per second, what is that? It is the speed through which impulse travel from ventricle to the wall of heart. So here I talked about three time. First, the stimulus is conducted, impulse is generated by SA node at the rate of 1 meter per second. Then it from SA node it reaches to the AV node. What is the time? 0.03 seconds. And then from 1.5 to 4 meter per second speed, this impulse from AV node from ventricles, it passes to the wall of heart. Right. So what is happening? That impulse is generated by SA node. It will pass on to AV node, right? And then it is passed on to wall of ventricles. But actually between auricles and ventricles there is a fibrous tissue present. There is a ring, there is a fibrous ring which is known as annular pad. Between this auricles and ventricles there is a annular pad, a ring fibrous tissue is present. So to pass on impulses, now sinoatrial node, the generation which the sinoatrial node, it generate impulses. So somebody we need to collect and to transmit impulses to ventricle, because SA node, these impulses, they cannot be passed directly to the ventricles because of the presence of the fibrous tissue, annular pad between auricles and ventricle. So on between auricles and ventricles there is another group of cell present which collect and then transmit these impulses to ventricles. So from AV, as now just look at here, so from AV there arises two bundles, another two bundles, one on the left side and one on the right side. Just look at my marker first, one on the right side and one on the left side. This is called bundle of His. They are two in number, right bundle of His and left bundle of His, right? So they are left and right bundle of His. And then from these there are another branches, fibers, they arises. From these bundle of His, fibers or branches like structure arises. These are known as Purkinje fibers. They are known as these fibers, branches, they are known as Purkinje fibers. So now please listen to me again carefully. Okay, so here impulse is generated, right? What is that area? SA node. This impulse pass on to another group of cell which is called AV node, right? Now AV node, it collect and transmit impulses to, what is this? Right and left bundle of His, right? Right and left bundle of His. Then they again branch out into the fibers which are known as Purkinje fibers, and then impulses transmit to your wall of ventricles. Is it clear? So that is the pathway which is we follow. From AV node, impulse pass to bundle of His. It is known as AV bundle also, right? It is known as AV bundle, that is left and right bundle. Then it pass on to Purkinje fibers. Why I am giving it 4 number? Because first is Sinoatrial node, second it passed to AV node, then to bundle of His, and then to Purkinje fibers, and finally it reaches to wall of ventricle. Please, one more thing, don't get confused कि ये सब एक ही area में हो रहा है. No, this impulse, they are passed to your left atrium also, then to your right atrium also, then right ventricle also, and left ventricle also. Throughout your heart, these impulses, they travels. But what is the origin? What is the area from where they arise? That is SA node. It initiate and maintain those electrical impulses. So from AV, that is from AV node, there arises bundle of muscles. And what are we calling them? Bundle of His. His is the scientist name, or they are also known by the name AV bundle. These are bundle of muscles which carry impulses from AV node, right? Now then they are from bundle of His, they are transmitted to the Purkinje fibers, and finally from Purkinje fibers to wall of ventricle. AV node is known as pace setter because is it SA node which is sending impulse to wall of ventricles? No. This is the AV node which sends impulses to wall of ventricle. So it is known as pace setter, and who is initiator and maintaining those impulses? That is SA node. So it is known as pacemaker, right? So as you can see, from SA node, impulses are generated. They pass to your left atrium also, and then they pass to AV node and right atrium, and then they are AV node collect these impulses, and then there is the bundle of His, AV bundle, they are generated, bundle of His, they will collect these impulses, and finally there is the Purkinje fibers, they transmit these impulses to wall of ventricles. So what are these special muscles? They are our nodal tissue. So our heart, it is made up of muscles. So it is impulses basically that is generated by these specialized muscles, nodal tissue. So that is why we call our heart myogenic, because impulses which is generated in heart, they are generated by muscles. But in lower vertebrates, impulse is generated by brain. So their heart is neurogenic in nature, but our heart is myogenic in nature. Please don't do this question in a wrong option, with the wrong option. Please, our heart is myogenic, right? So you need to be very careful when you are attempting these kind of questions. So here this is all about our two topics, that is about the circulation as well as about the nodal tissue. Next, I am leaving you now with three questions. First is the thick muscular projections on the walls of ventricle are called. Read question very carefully what is asked to you. Thick muscular projections on the walls of ventricles are called chordae tendineae, columnae corneae, conus arteriosus, truncus arteriosus, right? Arteriosus. So please mention your answer, best option, in the comment section. This is our first question. Second question is, a person with AB blood group, what will have on its RBC? What does it have on its RBC? Has A and B antigen in its plasma, lacks any antibodies on RBC surface, can receive blood transfusion from a person of his own group, can donate blood to all other group recipients, right? This is the easiest for you. Third last question for you is Sinoatrial Node, which we discussed today, SAN. This is also known as SAN, Sinoatrial Node. It is normal pacemaker of human heart because it is located in right atrium. It is the only part of conductive system that can generate impulse. It can generate the maximum number of action potentials in the conductive system. It produces action potential that are more in size than the other part of conductive system. Here one request to all of you, after listening to this lecture, please immediately read NCRT, and the topic that we are discussing, that is the human circulatory system. Last paragraph of this topic, read it immediately. You will not have a single doubt in this topic.